At Path of Faith, we invite you to explore the depths of your soul and unlock the secrets of spiritual enlightenment as we journey together towards a deeper understanding of God's love. Father, I wanted you to help me deal with the feelings I'm experiencing. I lost my husband and also recently lost my son, and I'm having trouble coping with the grief. You would say, it's not easy indeed, my daughter. Losing two people who are so important in your life, it's like the structure of your home has somehow collapsed, and it takes time. The heart needs time. We cannot expect healing today if we need to go through the process that will result in healing. And grief, it's a process. What is a process? That it naturally needs to go through a process. When someone dies within our home, my people, the structure is completely changed. It's impressive how one person, if you remove just one person, it's impressive how the family structure is modified. And it's like a moving truck whose pumpkins in the back rearrange themselves as we hit the road. It's a rural language that I've seen a lot. Fill the truck with pumpkins, hit the road, they start shaking, making noise. Suddenly they settle down and you don't even remember that you had all those pumpkins behind. But until they settle, it makes a lot of noise. That's how it happens in our lives. Whenever someone is taken away, the truck makes noise. And we think that noise will be eternal. I remember the death of my sister when Heloisa died. It was so traumatic at home. It was so difficult to restore the house without her presence, even though she didn't live with us anymore. She lived in Belo Horizonte at the time, but you have to restructure your heart because the other person lives within us. Family is not just the place where people live in the same house. Family is when people live within each other. And when someone dies, we lose that tenant. You lose that presence that was within you. Of course, the longing will remain, but you don't embrace anymore. You don't find, you don't talk. So this organization of mourning, it will need to go through the process of getting used to the absence. And in your case, Jose, you are still going through the harsh experience of losing two people in a very recent period. My daughter, you will have to have a lot of patience with your feelings. This won't change overnight. You will have to accommodate these two people in your longing, in your feelings, so that you can continue your life as it was before. Of course, it will never be the same, because it can't. It's not for those who haven't lost either. Life is not the same. Life can never be the same, even for those who haven't lost. Life is always in motion. Just the other day, a friend of mine found out her son was ill. She was devastated. The same illness her husband had, which was extremely painful for them, she found out her son had too. What to say? Of course, we say, I'm with you, I'm praying with you, but that's a dilemma she will need to face. No matter how much I love her, I cannot enter her heart and live that suffering for her. I even took her in all the intentions of my masses during the pilgrimage. And I asked God, I asked Our Lady in a special way, since we were in Marian territories, that Our Lady would do in her heart what God did in your heart when accompanying the agony of your son. The boy's illness is not a death sentence, but it touches on hardship. It touches on suffering. We don't want our children to be ill. After the news, which at first seems like the end of the world, then because we are people of faith, our process is to rebuild reality, and we come out of it even better. So, we can never want life as it was before. That's something for children. That's an illusion. Life will never be the same for those who have lost and for those who haven't. We need to adapt to the movements that time has made, always in the daily effort to put soul into our body, to give meaning to our life, to never allow difficulties, losses to prevail over all of this. Now, my daughter, as time goes by, we mature with the event. When God has the opportunity to act in our lives in these moments of pain, it's amazing how we are changed for the better. And this is possible, yes, not only because it happened in my life, but because It happened in the lives of thousands of people who give wonderful testimonies of overcoming, who help us understand the pedagogical dimension of pain, of suffering. It's the proof, before our eyes, of many people who have also gone through the harsh experience of losing children, husbands, mothers, siblings, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, and after continuing existence. Now, patience with the process is important. I cannot anticipate this healing. It's like the healing process. A friend of mine, Adelina, my travel companion from Fortaleza, spontaneous all the time. That's why I liked her from the first time I saw her. She wears her heart on her sleeve. And then, after one of my preachings during the pilgrimage, she gave me a little note with just one sentence like this: "What doesn't inflame cannot be cured." Inflammation is the body's first movement to be healed in what has been hurt. So, inflammation is a manifestation of the body's own immunity, wanting to expel what is attacking the flesh. And it is indeed. A simple little sentence made me remember that sometimes when we were kids, we'd get a thorn in us. That thorn hurt. Hurt for 2-3 days until it turned yellow, and then the secretion itself would work to expel that relief. We squeezed it, it all came out, that ugly thing. The thorn came out, and that's it. The body was there, without pain. It's like that nasty pimple on your face. It hurts, 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 hurts. And you go there, do everything wrong, give it a squeeze. Isn't it, Christian? Almost breaks the mirror. Relief. Dermatologists shouldn't even hear us talking. They can't know that we do that, no. But when you have that inflamed thing, when you go there, give it a prick like this. After the inflammation is the movement of healing. In our hearts, when we lose someone, we are inflamed with pain. And if we allow that inflammation to go through the natural process of expelling, of throwing away what is infected in us, our future will not be like before. I repeat, even for those who haven't lost, it's not the same, but we can make that future worth it. I am a very sad person. Besides this married talk, when I got married, with 1 year of marriage, I lost my first child. Then I went through a lot of sadness. Because of that, I spent over a year with a lot of depression, a lot of sadness. Then other children came, 4 daughters came. I raised them all well. When it was this year, which ended yesterday, from January 11th, I lost Vida's grandson to drowning, right, at 4.5 years old. This father has greatly affected my life. I was very sad, very shaken, very shocked. I almost died. Even today, I carry this sadness within me. I really wanted to live this, Father. This child has stirred me deeply. It was like this. It was worse than my son's case. It was much worse because it was like this. My son's death was sudden because he drank a porridge and then he didn't choke. But the porridge he drank was ingested into his lungs. And my grandson's death was a drowning death. A death that I found very sudden, very abrupt, so I couldn't accept this. Then I became a person against God, full of anger, full of resentment, of sadness, of revolt. You know, Father, I used to be a very godly person, very prayerful. Then I blamed myself a lot. Why? Why did I blame myself? Because I thought I had prayed too little, blamed the person, blamed God. I thought God should have gone there and taken him out of that water, saved my grandson. So, Father, it was so hard. We made it 4.5 years. It was very hard for me. It's still very hard. Asking God to help me, to enlighten me from yesterday to today, for me to get rid of this sadness, this anguish. It's a very heavy burden on my shoulders. This sadness, this anguish comes and goes. For me, it's a very, very heavy burden. I need to get better from this because I can't go on like this, because otherwise I won't resist, Father. I won't die of sadness, of suffering, and I can't go on like this. And there you go. Now I want you to call me. What should I do, Father? FG. Mrs. Maria, the first thing that is very beautiful already to identify in you is the desire to change. Every time we are faced with an event that traumatizes us, that takes the ground from under us, because an event like this takes our ground, an innocent, a person we love, dead there. I'm remembering mother. Our friend from Sergipe also, who went through the same experience, and she took her son out of the water. She was the one who took him out, a dead boy. I heard this story, and I had the opportunity to be with this woman, who is the mother of this boy, on the banks of the Jordan River when we went to the Holy Land. And I remember that when I baptized her, the word that came to me was this. I poured the water from the Jordan River over her head, and I said to her like this, take your son out of the water once and for all. Because from the time of the boy's life, of the boy's death, until that day, she was keeping the boy drowned. She didn't take him out of the pool because she only lived around that. She didn't do anything else. She lived all the time the experience of drowning. It's that old story, right, folks? The event is there, and I can't detach from it. So, no matter how long it has been, the boy is still drowned, the boy is still in the water. Before that word, she decided to react. And it was very beautiful to hear this from them. Father, we are very grateful that that word helped my sister to continue her life. Mrs. Maria Duzzy, I wish I could take this pain out of your heart, but maybe you can also start taking your grandson out of the water. Don't keep him drowned anymore. Don't put your thoughts anymore. Don't fix your idea, your story in his drowning. First thing, remove the guilt. There's no need to find blame for such a tragic story. Even if you find out who's to blame, it won't bring the boy back. It won't solve our pain. No. What we need to do now is to continue life from what we have. We can't take the boy out of there anymore. We can't resurrect him anymore. And we can't bring him back to life. There was no time to do anything, but now there's a beautiful way to make resurrection happen. Restoring life in the family, bringing the joy back. Because we all are deprived, Mrs. Maria Dulce. When we have someone at home who cannot live through the process of loss, all of us around are harmed. We are harmed. And it's beautiful for you to say, I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to be a sad person. This reaction is already God's action in you. The time of revolt, it's part of life. We are human. We are fragile. We will revolt. We will scream. We will blaspheme. But this has to be temporary. Screaming and blasphemy don't heal our hearts. No. What heals our hearts is the prayer of surrender. And this must be your prayer, your daughter's prayer. Lord, I cannot change the death of my grandson, so I want to entrust him to you. I want you to take care of him and remove this guilt from us. Grant us the grace to continue living without needing to find someone to blame for this tragedy. Entrusting to God does not mean we alienate ourselves. No, we only entrust to God what cannot be fixed anymore, because the rest we do, we run after because He is helping us to achieve it. But what cannot be fixed anymore, leave it in His hands. Remove that weight from you. You are trying to solve the problem, and there's no way to solve this problem. There's no way to bring this boy back. So today, removing him definitely from the waters is to accept that death happened, but that now we want to continue life, qualifying our daily lives, our history, preparing our future in a more beautiful way. Entrust this dear grandson of yours to the Lord and see him as an intercessor praying for you. He is a legitimate representative in the heaven, a legitimate representative of the family who is in heaven without suffering. There's nothing bad, only us here who need to deal with this pain. Father Fabio, if God is omnipresent, is He the owner of good and evil? Dear one, the fact that God is omnipresent has nothing to do with the origin of evil, because omnipresent means being everywhere, the omnipresence of God. So God is here. God is there with you. He is present everywhere. The question of the origin of evil is a much discussed theological issue. We have a very beautiful reflection in Christian Catholic theology regarding the origin of evil. But the most important thing in all of this, because I know that what bothers us the most is this, is to think, if God is good, how can bad things happen? Who is responsible for all these bad things happening? We have an interesting explanation, which is the origin of sin. Sin as the door that opened for evil to have power over us. Then you have all the metaphor of paradise that was lost, of the apple that was eaten, of the expulsion of Adam and Eve, of that space that God had placed so that they could live in harmony We have this parable as an indication that evil arose precisely at the moment when we broke the covenant with God. At the moment when Adam and Eve wanted to be others, wanted to be gods, they forgot about human condition, forgot who they were, and wanted to be who they could not be. And from the moment we want what is not rightfully ours, we begin to establish injustice. Have you noticed that? How many bad things happen? Precisely because we do not know how to recognize what is not ours. Why is theft inherently evil? Stealing something from someone is evil. That is evil because I do not respect the space that is delimited. It belongs to another, but I want it for myself. The same thing when you have the presence of evil. Life. When I go and kill someone, it is the lack of respect for what the other is. Violence has its origin in this. Now, what makes me evil? It's my adherence to this project. It is very dangerous for us to blame all guilt on the devil. Oh, it's the devil who wants this. It's the devil who makes it happen. Yes, but if the devil wants it, we are the ones who carry it out for him. Have you ever seen the devil walking the streets? No. I have seen diabolical people walking the streets. The devil himself, no. There is no problem here. We do not have a devil here. The other day, a woman asked me, "Father, do you perform exorcisms?" I stopped to think, how can I perform an exorcism? No. Then I thought, but immediately I said, no, there is a way for you to perform an exorcism. You love. Every time you love, my friend, the devil has no place with you. The devil cannot stand a person who loves. The devil cannot do absolutely anything in the life of a person who seeks goodness, who seeks partnership with truth. The devil begins to have a say in our lives when we open the doors for him to sit, to have a coffee in our house, to have a little whiskey with us. Then that's it. You start opening the doors. Oh, come smoke some marijuana. And the devil sits and smokes marijuana. Let's sniff some cocaine. It's the opposite, right? It's me who is adhering to what is a process of breaking within me. This week I was in Itapemirim. I met a young man there. I think his name is Paulo. During the show, I saw that he was very quiet, but I had already seen him like that because he was very close. And at the end of the show, he was already up on something, waving and singing. And then he asked, I understood that he wanted to talk to me. And then he came to the dressing room to give me a hug. And he said to me like this, "Father, I'm struggling to free myself from drugs." And then I hugged him and said to him, "My friend, freeing yourself from drugs is the same as you starting to love yourself again. Because drugs are nothing but a lack of love. I will judge within myself a toxin that will harm me. I will judge within myself a substance that will numb me, that will take away my awareness of things, that will distance me from the people I love, that will take away the peace of mind from the people I love." How sad it is. The drug addict does not see the suffering he causes. The mother who does not sleep, who until she sees her son coming home, no matter how bad he is, she likes to see him arrive anyway. She doesn't sleep because she keeps thinking, my God, where's my son now? So cutting with drugs is reestablishing the bonds of love that you have. When you say, I'm going to stop smoking this marijuana, I'm going to stop doping myself, I'm going to stop drinking, especially because the worst of all addictions for me is the socialized one, the one we do in front of everyone. Alcohol is terrible, and every time a person decides to stop drinking, they are not deciding for themselves alone. It's also because of the people they are making suffer that they are destroying. It's so beautiful to see a person react because of the love they have for others. So, this is a beautiful thing to see. Now, evil, it enters into the context of our lives based on our choices. I choose evil. It exists. It is concrete. It is real. But it only tries to seduce. It is me who will adhere to it and will represent it in my life. More than knowing its origin, it is discovering a way to neutralize it. I don't know how evil entered the world. I don't have that answer. I have the suggestion that theology, that the parable gives me, but I don't have a ready answer for that. So what do? If I don't know how evil entered the world, I can avoid it entering me. That is what is right and possible. Only those who have read Father Fábio de Melo's books know how transformative they are. They make us reflect and change our perspective on life. If you haven't read them yet, don't miss this great opportunity. Learn more by clicking on the links in the description. Father Fábio, what can we do when fear prevents us from fulfilling what God wants from us? Fear is a natural reaction to everything that tends to be new in our lives. Of course, fear is a natural reaction to various situations in life. Fear is natural in us because it points us to what is a limit. Because I am limited, I am afraid. I'm afraid of burning my finger, so I'm limited. I can't put my hand in the fire. I know that. It's a limit I have. The limit of my skin, the limit of my physical condition. Now, when this fear of fire begins to prevent me from having a healthy relationship with everything that will have fire, for example, if I'm going to be near a bonfire, but I don't need to judge myself in it. It's the control we can exert over the fear we feel, which is always an experience of rationalization. The fire is there. I know it's dangerous for me, but I start to manage the relationship I have with it. Everything in life is like that. When I start to manage the fears I feel, I start to overcome them. I cannot allow fear to become an oppressive force that diminishes the quality of my life. We often tend to live in fear of novelty, everything that will be new in our lives, the changes we will face. Who feels fear, for example, when they have to change jobs? We don't know if it will work out. Who will get married? Who will face a new lifestyle? We'll always go through the experience of fear because novelty, we will leave a comfortable region, a reality that we are already accustomed to, and we will move to a new territory. And it is natural for us to be afraid of that. What is not natural is for fear to prevail. That is why we always need to be careful to manage new realities, always seeking that courage that minimizes the power of fear. When we feel that we are feeling too much fear and we are missing opportunities because of the fear we feel, we lose precious opportunities. The other day, I even met a girl who was sharing with me, "Father, I'm very afraid of growing in the relationship with my boyfriend because the last relationship I had made me suffer a lot. So she couldn't invest in the new relationship because she brought the scars of a relationship that was very tragic for her. It ended with a lot of suffering. She suffered a lot at the hands of that boy, that old boyfriend. So now she was facing the fear that if she loved again, she would have to go through the same situation she went through. And that's where we need to rationalize. It's the formula that often works. How am I going to rationalize a situation? How can this girl rationalize the fear she has of the new relationship? It's about thinking. This guy I'm dating now is not the same. He doesn't necessarily have the same personality as the one I dated before. It doesn't mean that what I experienced with the other, I will have to experience with this one too. That's rationalization. Because the big challenge, my people, is to put meaning and reason into what we feel. Put meaning into feeling. That is, shed light on what I am feeling and understand my feeling, which is not always true. Not everything I feel is true. So I'm afraid of being betrayed again, but I may not have reasons for that. It may be that the person next to me today does not give me any reasons to feel this fear, but because I have marks from the past, today I deal with her with fear, insecurity. It's interesting for us to realize that humans will always need healing. Often the relationship doesn't work today because we haven't healed from the relationship we had. That happened. That was tragic for everyone. So this thing of organizing life little by little as we live, correcting our feelings, doing emotional digestion. When we eat something that makes us sick, we have stomach upset, right? But when we also feel something that made us sick, we need to experience emotional digestion. That is the process of eliminating what was not good and keeping what was good. That's digestion. Well-done digestion is when the body keeps what it extracted from the food and throws away what is no longer good. It digests it. When it doesn't digest, it's because the food stayed in the stomach. And since the stomach wasn't made to keep the food, but it was made only to be an instrument for that food to be digested and thrown, the proteins, vitamins, minerals from our food into the blood to continue feeding the body. The stomach wasn't made to be a storage place. We have upset stomach. The food stayed longer than it should have for some reason, either because it was spoiled or because it was too heavy, ate more than it should, right? Affection and feeling work the same way. And often I live this emotional indigestion like this, keeping inside me what should have been eliminated. Or judging for my effective life, what was the learning from everything I lived? If I don't do this digestion, I keep that as a bad thing and start projecting onto others what didn't work from that first experience. And that often makes us afraid. When we go into a relationship with another, bringing the marks of a past that was not good. Many times we take this also, not only in the dating issue, marriage, no, in friendship, no. In everything in life, sometimes we make the reading of the new that is before us with what we already have as experience. So the great challenge is to ensure that fear does not prevail, that what was the experience of the past does not prevail over us. Fear will always be natural because we will analyze life based on what we have already experienced. And if what we experienced we did not put in the right place, then we run the risk of making this experience always determinate for us, as it scares us, limits us, and prevents us from going beyond. But it is always good for us to make this effort so that this fear does not prevail. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey at Path of Faith. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content like this.